How familiar are we truly with our solar system? Could there be a rogue planet lurking on the outskirts? And if so, could it threaten Earth's existence? Today, we test the believability of Nibiru.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
where we dive into the unknown and the unusual
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
That is right. It is another Tuesday. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good. Probably a little tired.
A little tired?
Yeah.
I feel it. I got 5 hours of sleep yesterday, apparently. It's on my day off, too. Makes no sense. Have you heard of this before? Nibiru?
Yes.
Planet 9?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Planet 10?
Planet X.
Exactly, and I'm very glad you said that. Now, there'll be people that'll probably say it's called Planet 10, because, Roman numerals. For the remainder of this episode, it is Planet X. I will not call it Planet 10, because Planet X just sounds so much cooler.
Well, I mean, it can't be Planet 10, because Pluto is not a planet.
Well, I thought it came back. In 2006, they said, nah, brah. And I thought in, 2016, it was like, okay, you can come back. Your name's on the list.
I think it's a subplanet.
Oh, it's a subspecies planet.
Yeah.
Well, that's not kind. Pluto, that's messed up. All right. Are you ready to dive in?
Let's go, yeah.
So first of all, what is Nibiru? And if I stop saying this correctly, I have it written out in front of me, Nibiru, because I've always said Nibiru, or I never said it right.
It was Nibiru.
Yeah.
Kind of like Naruto, Nibiru.
Yeah, what I did was I watched many YouTube videos, and
Okay.
I paid attention to how the YouTube experts said it, and they say Nibiru. Even people from NASA, they say Nibiru.
Is it like the opposite of Naruto, like Naruto?
Sure. I
It's
don't
a
know.
joke.
Okay. So Nibiru is a shadow planet. It moves about in kind of a figure 8 pattern. It's not just an oval. It does a figure 8 on the outskirts of the solar system, but it also kind of goes from one side, far by Pluto, and then it comes all the way by the sun. Every 3,600 years, so it takes its time. It's on nobody's schedule but its own. It's supposedly 4 to 5 times the size of Earth. So, what is anticipated to happen when it gets near Earth again? Well, there's obviously, being a planet, it has a strong magnetic field, and its gravitational pull causes a shift in Earth's magnetic field, as well as disruptions in the orbit. So pretty much just planet-wide destruction. The next time Nibiru passes in the solar system, it'll stop Earth's rotation, flip it on its side, cause massive flooding, and strip away the atmosphere, rip up the crust, if it doesn't even collide with us.
Whoa.
Naturally, this seems like what would happen once the Cleveland Browns start winning games.
Yeah, actually, as soon as that happens, it's going to be actually
I know,
right there.
as soon as he's about to catch the last touchdown, just going to boom, planet.
Yeah.
Crust ripped up. Done. Kind of like that, it's the Steelers. It was Heinz Ward. But the third Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's
when it blows up
returning
the
it.
stadium.
And yeah.
That's a lovely, lovely voyage.
He looks behind him. He's like, what? Where did we go?
The last time Pittsburgh was good. All right, so I need you to do me a favor, though, because we're going to be diving into some crazy theories here. And play along, do what you will. When you're thinking about could there be a huge planet lurking, ready to destroy us, there's a very obvious question that somebody might have to dispute this, and there's no rebuttal. So please don't ask that until the discussion.
Okay. Well, I haven't thought of it, so.
Okay. Let's go to 1976.
Okay.
So back in 1976, before Twitter and Facebook, there were these antique, crazy old items called books. And a man named Zechariah Sitchin wrote one. He wrote one of these antique old items. It was called The 12th Planet. And basically what he does is he translates ancient Sumerian text. Sumerian. Yeah. Those are the old people, like Mesopotamia. They were around 4,500 to 2000 BC. So,
Long time ago.
Yeah, one of the first, earliest known civilizations.
Is that kunai form?
What?
Did they write in kunai form?
They probably didn't write in English. They just drew pictures and stuff.
Okay.
Big planet coming. Looks spooky. So, What did the text that Sitchin translate say? So essentially, it talked about the origins of humankind on Earth, and it was pretty fantastical. So it talks about the Anunnaki, who come to Earth from a planet close to our solar system called
Nibiru.
Yes. The text claims that Nibiru's orbit around the sun is highly elliptical, like that thing in your basement you never use, which takes it out beyond the orbit of Pluto, which is still a planet, damn it, and brings it all the way back near the sun at the asteroid belt by Mars. Again, it takes Nibiru 3,600 years to complete one full orbital journey. It can only be hypothesized, but it's believed that Nibiru was last in Earth's vicinity around 160 BC. Must have just went by waving, like, I'm not going to bother you this time. It's all good.
Okay.
Or maybe it was like, I'm going to see your ass in 3,600 years. Meet me by the asteroid belt.
Like a threat? Like he's like...
Yeah, I'm watching you. Yeah,
like
yeah,
ready
yeah.
for a drive-by?
Yes, exactly. In 3,600 years. So for this will be fast. A little bit about the Anunnaki. So about 450,000 years ago, Alalu was the leader, ruler of the Anunnaki on Nibiru and escaped the planet on a spaceship and landed on Earth. He said, I'm about to Christopher Columbus this bitch. And he discovered Earth had plenty of gold, which apparently Nibiru needed to protect its atmosphere.
I thought you were going to say fruit. I don't know why.
There's a lot of bananas. That goes back to when we were talking about our humans from Earth.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, the very first Will Buy Gold pawn shop was created. Actually, Alalu began mining Earth's gold. Then, around 300,000 years ago, or so, it's all, he's translating, he doesn't have a calculator on him. The Anunnaki decided to create a race of working class, basically gold miners, genetically manipulating the primates on the planet, aka us.
Yeah.
We're all gold miners. That's our job. That's why we love gold. That's why we love money, I guess. We were made to mine that gold.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
Why would he do primates? Wouldn't he do, like, shrews or something?
This is 300,000 years ago. There was no, like, aside. Like, when he's writing the text, he's like, and then I thought to myself,
I'm just saying, like, the things that are naturally to dig things, like a mole or something like that.
We got shovels, bruh. There's a Home Depot. If they got a gold pawn shop, they got a Home Depot.
Cue the Home Depot music.
Yeah. So yeah, they pretty much created us to do the work for them because they probably got sick of snow, taxes, basic cable, sunburn, lima beans, auto-tune, and getting eaten by dinosaurs. So they gave up rulership of Earth, gave it to the humans, said, here you go, have fun, don't mess it up. We'll see you in 3,600 years. Might want to try to get off by then. Peace, bark, bark.
Man,
and then they left.
I love lima beans.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you don't. Sitchin goes way more detail. He ties stories in from the Bible and histories of other ancient cultures, especially Egyptian. But that's like the summary. I don't want to get too far into those weeds. So that is like the first major discussion of Nibiru coming to us in the 70s.
Okay.
In the 12th planet by Sitchin.
Why is it 12th planet and not the 10th planet?
Because obviously he didn't have a calculator.
Okay.
There were no calculators in the 70s, dude. You just used fingers.
Fair.
So let's head to the best decade, the 1990s.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Nancy Leader. It might be Lighter, but for the rest of this episode, it's Leader. Have you heard of Nancy?
No.
Okay. Well, let me tell you. She is nuts.
Okay.
Or is she?
She's healthy.
So there aren't a lot of details about this out there. And if they are, I didn't find them. But when she was a young girl, Nancy had encounters with aliens, Zetas, as she called them, Greys from Zeta Reticula. Now, I know you are the alien expert. Would you like to do a quick little summary of what Zeta Reticula supposedly is?
Zeta Reticula is just solar system where the Greys come from.
It's their hometown.
Yeah, it's like back to football. The Browns play here. They play in Zeta.
Yeah, they play in Zeta. Apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, from Earth's southern hemisphere, you can see that like area with your naked eye. Like where the star system is,
I can't see anything in the
whether
sky.
or not there's aliens or Greys there or anything like that. Like you can see that section in when it's dark out. I guess.
Believe it.
Apparently, it's about 39 light years away.
Oh, that's all.
That's it. It's just a quick drive, quick trip down south. So, in addition to these alien encounters in her youth, in 1993, everything changed for Nancy. Am I boring you?
No.
I see him yawning over there. He's like, oh, okay. When are we getting back to the planet?
Let me get some coffee.
Okay. I will too then. She started hearing something. She started hearing voices. And at this moment, she realized that she was an official contactee for the Zetas.
Okay. Really quick.
Yes.
So that would be contact of the fifth kind.
Oh, that's the fifth kind?
Yes.
Okay. In her mind, pun intended, they had implanted a chip in her brain so they could communicate with her. Long distance. So they're racking up that phone bill. But, obviously she was hashtag skeptical, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, God forbid she starts thinking she's crazy. So naturally, she wants concise, hardcore proof of what she's experienced. So let me ask you, what would convince you that aliens were actually talking to you and it wasn't your imagination?
Assuming I'm not going insane, I guess I'd have to ask them to do something.
Like move? Well, you'd be hearing it. So they couldn't do anything. It would just be like, what would they say to you? There's no right answers.
Oh, man. I guess I'd have to say something like super... They'd have to give me like an equation that I wouldn't know, and I'd have to be able to bring it to a scientist and be like, what's this equation mean? And he's like,
dude, it's just long division, bro.
I mean, okay. Maybe a harder one. Maybe like the equation for the light travel or something.
There you go. Well, Nancy asked the Zetas to provide a sign of proof that they were real, and wow, did they deliver in a big way. So while Nancy's at the movies, it's 1993, so I'm assuming she's watching Jurassic Park.
So was it Die Hard?
Was Die Hard in 93?
I don't know.
It was definitely Jurassic Park.
Okay.
She opened a package of individually wrapped Starburst candies. But she discovered that one of them was already unwrapped. Hopefully red.
That's the sign?
Or pink. And in that moment, she knew it was real.
Oh, she needs help.
I hope that the Starburst moment was the exact moment that Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler see the Brachiosaurus for the first time. Because there'd be really good cinematic parallels.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the groundbreaking proof that she knew.
There's no more detail to that.
No.
Okay.
That's it. So let's move forward to 1995. So the whole idea of Planet X was pushed forward by her in 1995 through a website called ZetaTalk, which is still real. You can check it out. I've checked it out. I use it for this episode. It's real.
Is it cool?
It exists. It's basically a forum where she can relay messages to the humans from Zeta. So this is kind of like the ultimate failsafe. It's never her blame because it's always coming through her from the Zetas. You know what I mean? Like, it'll come into play later, obviously, because we're still alive as of now, the recording of this podcast. But, you know what I mean? She's like the conduit. She's the voice, the speaker.
I assume she was dead. Is she not dead?
She's not dead.
Oh.
She's not dead. So she starts claiming that she was chosen to warn mankind that the object, Planet X, would sweep through the inner solar system in May of 2003.
It didn't happen. I was there.
You were on Earth at 2003?
I remember that happening, yeah.
Yeah. And so what was expected to happen? The large object in question, Planet X, was going to fly by in our solar system, cause Earth's poles to shift, thus completely tearing the crust of our planet and causing total annihilation. So naturally, this was a hot topic on her ZetaTalk website and was even picked up by a few other news outlets leading to interviews and such. Even New York Times picked up what she was talking about. Kind of crazy.
Slow that year for news? Or?
I guess. So what she did was she used this to jump on the 1997 comet Hale-Bopp.
Oh, yeah.
And she was saying that the comet didn't actually exist and it was a fraud. That Comet Hale-Bopp was just a distant star, and really, the government and the scientists were using it as a distraction to hide the real imminent threat, the arrival of Planet X.
You know who else jumped on Hale-Bopp? The cult that killed themselves.
What? Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Heaven's Gate?
Yes.
Heaven's Gate.
When you were saying jump on it, I was imagining... You're right. They killed themselves. And
yes.
They were like, our bad.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't say that. They were dead. So since you brought that up, let's do a little history lesson. Hale-Bopp was indeed a comet. It was the brightest and best comet of the 20th century. It was able to be seen by the naked eye for about 18 months. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah, it's a long time. Take that, Haley.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to say this now. I loved Neowise this summer. Like, hunting down a dark spot in Northeast Ohio when it wasn't cloudy was probably like the highlight of 2020 for me. Like, I was geeking out about that.
Yeah, well, to be fair, there wasn't much about 2020.
No, there was. Well, Taylor Swift's album, pretty good. The first one. But yeah, I that was really fun for me. And also, this is kind of a random tangent. And when I was looking up stuff about the comet, There was like a video about New Mexico and how it's like one of the best places to see like a night sky. And that made me think of a movie we watched called The Vast of Night, which I didn't love, but I did love the aesthetics of that movie. So I'm going to say now, I recommend if you haven't watched it and you keep your expectations, temper them. I recommend checking out The Vast of Night.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. So despite being wrong about Comet Hale-Bopp, she was not backing down. In fact, she was becoming more specific about this.
Yeah, no, when you're wrong, you're supposed to double down.
Exactly. That's the only proper thing to do. So she described that Planet X was about 4 times the size of Earth now that she got this new information. And that its closest approach would be on May 27th, 2003. So we're jumping ahead. She's like, yeah, enjoy the comet, enjoy the 90s. 2003, though, it's going down. And that would lead to Earth's rotation actually stopping for 5.9 days, leading to the pole shift caused by the magnetic attraction between Earth's core and the magnetism of the passing planet X. Again, displacement of Earth's crust and the end of the days. Bad juju. So as the days and the years got closer to May 27th, 2003, more and more people panicked, started heeding Nancy's warning from her Zeta connection. So much so, and this is sad/trigger warning, even though we talk about death all the time, that a week before the supposed arrival of Planet X, Nibiru, Nancy appeared on K-Rock FM in Los Angeles, and she advised listeners to put down your pets in anticipation of the event.
No.
And when they asked her if she did it, she replied that she had, and her puppies are in a happier place.
What a monster.
Right? Bad stuff. So, as living, breathing humans, we all know that the world did not end in 2003, and the only doomsday was for all the animals that were put down because she is crazy.
Do you know how many there were? Like, is there like a guess anywhere?
There's no way to know how many people actually took her advice. I hope most people wouldn't.
That's outlandish.
You know, there's bunkers in like the West, somewhere in the West. I can't remember what state, like South Dakota, somewhere like that nobody would, know about. Like $25,000, but you get like a bunker that's like supposed to be perfect for any type of catastrophe. Now, I don't know if you would be able to survive a planet coming into our planet and destroying it.
How are you supposed to get there?
Well, you would go to South Dakota. Like I don't drive.
And you have to
fly.
live there? You have to live in South Dakota?
No, you would buy the bunker, and then when shit hits the fan, you just go to South Dakota. So you might want to live close to South Dakota, like North Dakota or other states that are around South Dakota. But I'm just saying you could own that property. It'd be like some people have a beach house, some people have a New York high rise. You would have a South Dakota bunker.
That'd be too far from here to be any good.
Not if you knew like ahead of time. Like if it was like something's gonna happen in 5 business days, you'd be like, well, I have a bunker in South Dakota.
Drive.
Well, if it was life or death, I think you'd make that drive. So, again, we know that Earth did not get destroyed in 2003, nor did it get destroyed in the 90s. So how did she rebound from such a huge fail? It was just a white lie. That's what she claims. It was just a white lie, but not her lie. It was a lie told by the Zeta. She basically said that the Zeta would never actually be able to tell us the true date of Nibiru coming destroying because people would overreact, government would overreact, it would lead to martial law, and that would stop good people from being able to get out and get saved.
Why would you tell us any date?
Yeah,
okay.
So, I'm actually, this is stuff I pulled this from the ZetaTalk website. These are her 3 bullet points discussing that situation.
These are like the reasons. I'm excited. Let's get down to business.
1. The establishment and those groups who would take advantage of good-hearted folk would use this knowledge to better entrap and enslave and ensure their own survival at the expense of the good-hearted. 2. The timing of this can change slightly due to matters in the solar system, such that a miscalculation could see in horror watching good-hearted folks trying to save those dependent upon them too late by days or hours. 3. Earth changes, and the exact position of Earth in relationship to the passing planet will change slightly as the time approaches. So warning for this or that, it's best to leave this for then, so no misunderstandings can occur. Sounds like bullshit.
I like how the last 2 are like space traffic.
Yeah.
Space traffic.
You never know. I mean, there could be an accident, a comet collides with a meteor.
Space
and
cops like, come on, let's go.
All right, one lane.
Yeah.
Bad stuff. So here's a quick little tidbit. Let's fast forward to 2011 when Comet Elenin appeared in 2011. Many people were concerned that it was the mysterious planet in disguise, despite the fact that planets and comets do not look the same at all.
1,000 years too early, isn't
One
it?
of them has a tail, and the other one does not.
Yes. That's super early, though. It's like almost 2,000 years early.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yeah, like 1,000, 1,500.
Yeah.
But instead of slamming into Earth, a comet got too close to the sun, and it pretty much disintegrated.
So it's done.
No, there's still like apparently it'll still travel for like 12,000 years, but it's like particles. You weren't able to. This wasn't a brilliant comet. Like or maybe something hit it. I saw multiple reports. It was either got too close to the sun or like something hit it. But pretty much it broke apart. You can still see the pieces, but like with the naked eye, no.
That's pretty cool.
Now the big granddaddy, 2012 in the Mayan calendar.
Oh, I remember this, obviously.
This is when I first heard about Nibiru. So I think I was 16. It was 2008, and somebody did like a book report on catastrophic disasters and stuff, and talked about how in 4 years the world might end, and it might be due to this planet hitting us. I'm like, oh shit. So for those old enough to remember, which I assume 99% of the people listening are, just kind of like I said, 2012 was a stressful time. There was movies about it. It was all over, viral fake news. It wasn't just forums on the internet or conspiracy groups. A lot of people were talking about this.
Listen, if you're listening to this podcast and you're 9 years old, not 9, 7 years old.
Well, 2012, it would be 9 now.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's 9. Add 3, that's 12. Could a 12-year-old be listening to us?
I guess I could.
I don't mean born in 2012, but like conscious of what was happening. Like a 5-year-old, like somebody who's 17 would have been too young.
Yeah.
Well, not too young. Somebody who's 15 would have been too young to comprehend it at the time, but they're older than 2012. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, there's like a certain age I think you had to be where like you actually made sense if something was going on. Like 97, I was way too young to appreciate Hail Bob. But I was there for it. You know what I mean?
Right, that's true.
It's a bummer. But you're right, they'd be young, very young. So basically from the Mayan calendar ending to the fear of massive solar flares, everyone felt a little bit tense at the time. Nancy obviously being one of them, and even people beyond Nancy started claiming that Nibiru would crash into Earth and end civilization on December 21st, 2012. That was a big day. That was like, everybody was like, there was like even websites created that like, if you're reading this on December 22nd, we all lived. Like just stuff like that.
I remember World Tour's theme for that year was the Mayans.
Yeah. So Nancy claimed that Obama knew that Nibiru was close in October 2012 and wanted to tell people, but Obama was just a little too afraid that it would come out of left field and it would turn voters against him for the November election, so he decided not to say anything.
Well, how would he care about the election, right? So, like, right?
I mean, yeah. She was pretty much like, they know it's on the other side of the sun, hanging out there, they just don't want to say it yet.
Okay.
Because there was another one about, like, 2014, where, like, Obama was meeting with some French leader, and they were, like, in 500 days... the climate will whatever, and she started looking at October in 2014. It's 2021 right now, and things aren't great, but we're still here.
Yeah, I mean, so I think of it whatever happens.
Yeah,
I can't do anything about it.
That's like a good Instagram bio. Whatever happens, happens, man. So to tie this into the first section before I move on, Sitchin, the author of The 12th Planet,
yes,
feels the same way that you feel. Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. He made the same point you made. He believes this is true. He believes in Nibiru. He believes in Planet X. But it's a little too early. So he didn't buy into her. He did not align with Nancy. He's like, no, she's wrong. I mean, it's still going to happen. We're all going to die. But it's still another 1,000 years from now.
So we got time.
We got plenty of time. You can have children's children. Well, we'll probably kill ourselves before. Planet X is going to be like, oh, I told him. Oh, shit. It's like when you look at a car accident and you're like, oh, God. Like
I was supposed to get that guy, but...
he got gotted. Moving on to 2017. David Mead, author of the book Planet X, the 2017 arrival, and self-proclaimed Christian numerologist, sparked the Nibiru flames again. There's a lot of authors up in here.
Yeah.
Got nothing better to do.
A lot of self-published authors.
Yeah, please buy my book. Here's some crazy stuff. Dude, yeah, that's probably it. It was like when you're scrolling down this crazy page, like a pop-up, like, check out my ebook, How to Survive the Apocalypse.
South Dakota.
Basically, he used various passages in the Bible where he claims to have found secret numerological codes which revealed the exact date that Nibiru would arrive, causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and destructions and just bad stuff. To tie this in, actually, to our Kelly Hopkinsville Goblins episode, Mead cited that huge solar eclipse in 2017 as a warning sign for something terrible that was coming. Now, the initial date was September 23rd, 2017. But then nothing happened, so he shifted it back to October 2017 and revised what would happen, saying, during the last week of October of 2017, at the very end of the week, Russia and China, along with North Korea, will engage in a surprise attack against the US and Great Britain. There will be a nuclear exchange. This is the start of World War III. I have a close friend who saw this event in a vision. I know the date. The fuses are now set. Everything is in place. Unquote. Sounds like he didn't want to buy Christmas presents that year. He's like, can we get this world-ending thing a little bit going here?
Yeah, he's like, I don't got the money this year.
Can we just blow shit up? So while there was a bunch of fake news stories that went viral, and it made Mead seem correct, and some were making it seem like NASA agreed with him, who have always disputed Nibiru, by the way. There, Ed Stetzer, who writes for Christianity Today, said, there's no such thing as Christian numerologist. He's a made-up expert in a made-up field talking about a made-up event. So let me ask you this. Do you think he actually believes this? Or do you, not the Christian writer, the Mead, the guy who's predicting. Do you think he actually believes this is going to happen? Or do you think this is all for attention? Because if he believes it, I wonder if he's relieved when it doesn't happen, because that means he gets to keep existing. Or do you think he's embarrassed? Now, that's assuming he believes it. If he doesn't believe it, he knows it's not going to happen, and it's just for attention. But if he actually believes it, I wonder if he wakes up the next day and he's like, oh man, thank God.
If he believes it, I think probably a little bit of both. Probably a little bit like, oh, I'm glad we're not dead, but why did they lie to me?
But what went wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very interesting. So, those are the theories leading up to now. So now I'm going to break this down into two more sections. Evidence for Nibiru and evidence against Nibiru. Let's do it. Evidence for Nibiru. 1. So astronomers have actually speculated for a long time that there might be an unknown planet, Planet X, somewhere out beyond the orbit of Pluto that would account for the anomalies that were affecting Neptune and Uranus. Basically what they're saying is something's tugging them. Like there's something pulling them gravitationally.
Something's tugging Uranus. Sorry.
The finding was reported in the June 19th, 1982 edition of the New York Times, who we've already decided are very credible, stated something out there beyond the furthest reaches of the known solar system is tugging at Uranus and Neptune. You're a child. Number 2. One reason that it could be true involves the IRAS, not IRS, the IRAS Infrared Space Observatory, which launched in 1983. The satellite briefly made headlines due to an unknown object that was first ascribed as possibly as large as the giant planet Jupiter and possibly so close to Earth that it could be part of this solar system.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
3. Conspiracy theorists claim that there's a patch of the sky missing in Google Sky. Like there's data missing near the constellation of Orion. And what they're saying basically is that Nibiru is there, but the government is hiding it from us, so they're just detracting that data from Google Sky so that the average person on their phone cannot find it. Now, we do have eyeballs, but, we'll get to that. But basically, they're saying that they remove that data so that nobody can find it. Which, makes, I haven't looked into it myself, but if I feel like it's not like there's too much light pollution in my bedroom, I can't see it on my phone. You're supposed to see everything on your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for anything to be missing, that is a little peculiar. 4. It's believed that something like this, like planets colliding, has happened in our solar system before, so it shouldn't be too much of a reach to think it could happen now.
That's the theory of why we have our moon.
Yeah, exactly. In addition to that, some scientists speculate that Uranus was actually a victim of this, that a planet much larger than Earth got a little too close to Uranus, and they collided, and it basically caused Uranus to flip on its side.
Oh, that's why it's horizontal.
Well, yeah, exactly. It has a 98-degree tilt, which is far more dramatic than any other planet. Like, if you see Earth rotate, it's like slightly off, where Uranus is like completely on its side. So they're assuming it got hit by a planet, causing it to do that. Number 5, YouTube, because YouTube is always correct. People started recording videos which displayed what looked like Earth having 2 suns. While some people choose to make this explain that we're actually living in a simulation, other people claimed that the second sun was in fact Nibiru. Have you seen those videos?
No.
You should check it out on YouTube.
You should post them on our Facebook.
Okay, we'll do double sun. I remember finding that on YouTube and I was kind of like, oh shit. What am I looking at here? All right. Now we're moving to why Nibiru is not in fact credible. 1, it would have caused a disruption already. Like the idea that a planet-sized object, is near a solar system, it would just have too much of a pull. Like, I know they're talking about Uranus and everything like that, but if, like, they're saying it's 4 times the size of Earth. If it was something that had already kind of come through our solar system before in thousands of years, it would have done more damage than we've already witnessed now.
Yeah, it would have killed the dinosaurs, probably.
Dinosaurs, they would have wrote about it. You would have read that book. We have eyeballs. We have eyeballs. And if you can't see, I'm sorry, take our word for it. We have eyeballs, and I might be colorblind, I might need glasses, but I think, like, you can see Jupiter, you can see Saturn, you can see Mars, you can see Venus. You know what I mean? Like, on a day, like, you can go out and you can see them. So if you can see those planets, why wouldn't you be able to see Nibiru? Now, people say it's because it's behind the sun. There's rotation. There's too much movement happening.
So, it would have to be like the sun in the middle, and like it's like we're dancing. Like, it's always behind the sun.
It's like the sun's boxing it out. It's like, no, you're not seeing it, man. You're not seeing it. I put $200 on Nibiru killing y'all. You're not gonna see it.
I like that.
3, sun flares and sundogs.
What's a sundog?
I'm glad you asked. The whole dual sun thing is called sundog. It's called sundog because it's like the second sun is like a little dog that follows a big one, like wherever it goes. But it's really a refraction of sunlight by ice crystals in the atmosphere. It's playing a trick. It's basically a trick.
Okay.
It's funny though, because there's this one video I looked up, and there's this guy like, well, there's 2 suns. There's 2 suns. Look, like, don't look directly at it. And I was probably not a good idea, but like, you can see it. And I was like, oh, you can see something there. But he actually edited his own video. He probably at gunpoint. And he's like, no, it's just the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction. So basically, the sun was like here, and right beneath it was Saturn and Jupiter. So it's making them combined was looking like a different entity.
Gotcha.
According to him, he really might have been at gunpoint. And astronomers point out that any pictures that people have of Nibiru in the sky, it's really just sun lens flares, false images of the sun by reflections and stuff like that. And 4, finally, the moon. If there was a planet, Nibiru, near us, with that much gravitational pull, it would have swiped our moon. Like it
took our moon?
It'd have snuck that shit.
Oh man, it would have done a drive-by and stolen our moon?
Yeah, it's my moon now. Fetch.
That's crazy.
Like a little moon dog. Moon dog, that's
moon
the Cavs.
Dog.
All right. So those are the theories, the conspiracies, and pretty much everything for and against Nibiru. Let's discuss. Okay, there's a lot. It's a lot. But what are your thoughts?
This reminds me a little bit of the fake moon landing episode.
Because it's about space?
Yeah. I guess.
And you were sitting there, and I was sitting here.
It's true.
We were both alive, drinking coffee. It's kind of eerie, actually.
Like, do this every week. I feel like, what does NASA say about this whole thing?
They pretty much dispute it.
It's not real.
Yeah, there's astronomers that believe that there is a planet that could be pulling some of the the farther away planets back. But NASA has disputed this, saying that there would be more evidence. They have no evidence that shows a rogue planet in our solar system.
I feel like, God, what was her name? Lisa?
Nancy?
Why did I think it was, whatever. I feel like Nancy, I think her sign was just not strong enough. I think that starburst, I think you'd have to ask for something a little bit more intense because there are manufacturing errors. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like Nancy's a little crazy.
Yeah, it's not just Nancy, though. It's Nancy, and it's Mead, and it's Sitchin. Like, they all believe that this is a real rogue planet.
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know where they got their information from. Like,
One was the text, and he was drawing connections. Nancy believes that she's a contactee for Zetas, and Mead found it from the Bible.
And the Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki, yeah.
Oh, man. It's a super cool concept.
Yeah.
I think it's probably more likened to, like, science fiction.
I think the problem for me is the people that claim to know when it's coming, rather than the idea that it just exists.
Absolutely. I think that's the strongest. Yeah, you go ahead. You continue that thought.
No, I've been talking for 40 minutes.
Okay. Well, I think you're right. I think any kind of prophetic person, I don't even know if they stand to benefit off anything, but either they're seeking attention. Like I mentioned to you, it is what it is. If you think that you know the world's going to end, what does you telling somebody or the world going to do for them?
Yeah, I that's where it comes down to me is I don't know if these people actually believe it or if they're doing it for attention. Because if they're doing it for attention, they're winning. I mean, their names are everywhere. It's on Wikipedia. It's on forums. They have their own websites. We're talking about on this podcast. I guarantee we're not the only podcast. There's YouTube videos. If they just want to get their names out there and be remembered for this, for good or bad, then they're winning. The interesting thing is if they actually believe it. Like, what if Nancy actually 100% believes that she is a contactee for the aliens in Zeta Reticula, and it is her duty to communicate what she's hearing from them?
One of the things I've learned is that when students act out, it's for attention, whether that be good or bad attention. And it could be the same kind of triggering mechanism for these people. It could be good or bad attention. They don't really care as long as they're getting some kind. And like you said, they're winning. They're getting it.
If they actually, like, I mean, she put her own dog down. Like, just because she's crazy doesn't mean that she's hateful or she wants to cause harm. And part of it, I mean, what she's saying is that she doesn't think they'll ever know the exact date because she doesn't want, in her words, good-hearted folks to get taken advantage of. So she really isn't coming from a aggressive or violent stance. But she believed her own words enough to at least claim that she killed her own dog. I mean,
it sounds a little bit like a cult mentality.
Yes.
And that's not, the cults aren't started usually on means of like hateful things.
Yeah.
Like Jim Jones started by like giving to charity and stuff like that. Like they were always predatory people, but circumstances build.
Right. But I mean, okay, on the flip side, space is huge and 3,600 years is a long time. That our entire lifetime, it could never, I mean, how many generations of our families could exist before that 3,600 years even comes up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's real, it doesn't mean that it's going to come around anytime soon. And it doesn't mean, since we've been like recording text in a contemporary fashion, doesn't mean anybody would have really seen it. And if they did, they wouldn't have known what it was or how a word to put towards it.
3,600 feels kind of arbitrary to me.
Yeah, it does. Like, how would you know? Like, you'd have to have somebody who was there when it first passed and then was also there, unless they just told, like, all right, start counting the days. But I mean, like the Mayan calendar, that it just seems like that's like one of the biggest bases of time, and that has nothing to do with the Nibiru.
Right.
So where are you landing on this? You get to pick first, because
as cool as I think it is, and as much as like the Anunnaki theory, I do find this unbelievable. I'm
going to say skeptical, because there's, I mean, one, something is pulling the other planets, and two, I think space is so vast that I don't think we can say guaranteed that there's nothing out there. Now, do I think anybody can predict when it's going to come and hit us? No. Do I think the aliens in Zeta Reticula care enough if they're there to tell us when? No. That doesn't mean that something won't ever collide with Earth. This was actually something that really freaked me out in my teens, when I first heard about it, and the whole 2012 thing. So just because space is so vast and we don't know what's out there, and it could be out there far beyond our solar system, maybe it'll never hit Earth, maybe it will, I'm going to give it a skeptical. So that is the episode on Nibiru / Planet X / Planet 10 / Planet 9. Any planet, Pluto's a planet, because I say so. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope if you ever were afraid of Nibiru, that this gave you a little bit of closure. And if you didn't know about it and now you do and you're freaked out, You're welcome.
I knew about it a little bit. I didn't know that much about it, though. So this was actually a lot of learning for me.
Yeah, I mean, not a spooky episode, but that's why we're called Believing the Bizarre, not Believing the Scary Shit. I love this type of conspiracy stuff. I'm a huge space nerd, like not nerd in terms of that I know a lot about space. It's just whenever I see something in front of me space related, I gotta like consume it. Like stars, that aesthetic, because that's like incredibly terrifying to me. Space.
It's so big.
It's big and it's huge.
So big.
So if you are enjoying the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review if you're on Apple. And if you're not on Apple, hit up a friend who might have an iPhone and tell them to leave a review, because that's what friends do. Friends leave their friends' favorite podcast reviews. That's true. And also, if you're enjoying the show, we do have our merchandise up on merchandise. What am I, from the 1800s? Our wares and goods are on the internet store, which they are. And there are shirts that we've come and worked with people to make, and they're pretty cool. And if you're interested, check them out. They're on believingthebizarre.com, and then hit the shop merch. So thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great week. And as always, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre.
Podcast as bizarre as you are.